Misrachek min HaKavod. It's not only that we don't look for kavod, one that really wants to achieve greatness in Torah needs to actively distance himself from kavod. There's a difference between a person that is not rodef achrei kavod. What is required is mitrachek min hakavod. The Rambam writes, Hilchas Deis, Perik Beis, Halacha Gimel. When the Rambam generally speaks about midot tovot, the Rambam says we always need to seek the middle of the road. Keep away from the poles. Keep away from extremes. Run in the middle of the road. Lo lakan velo lakan. Keep away from polarization, from extremes. However, there was one midah in which one needs to be extreme, and that is staying away from gaiva, from arrogance, from kavod. According to the Rambam, yesh deis she'asur lo la'adam lenhog behem bebeinonis, ela yitrachek min hakatzeh ha'achad ad hakatzeh ha'acher. והוא גובה לב, שאין דרך הטוב שיהיה אדם עונב בלבד, אלא שיהיה שפל רוח, ותהיה רוחו נמוכה למאוד. ולפיכך נאמר במשה רבינו עונב מאויד, ולא נאמר ענב בלבד. ולפיכך ציוו חכמים מאויד מאויד הווי שפל רוח. מאוד מאוד. Not only once, but twice. ועוד אמרו שכל המגביה לי בכופו בעיקר שנאמר ורום לבבך ושכחתו את השם אלוקיך. So the Rambam says, this is one midah in which, yes, you do need to be extreme. We find a Mishnah, Masechet Avos, Hakina v'atava v'hakavod ma'avirin es ha'odam min ha'olam. HaKavod, one of the three traits that destroys one's life and takes him out of this world. So it should be no wonder that what Chazal demand and require is mitrachek min HaKavod. But we are learning the Braisa of Kinyan Torah. Not only Midas Tovos, but what are the memches, the 48 ways to achieve Torah? So Anova definitely is one of them. We learn in Ta'anit Dav Zayin, Torah Nimshelo Lamayim. Ma Mayim, Manicha Mokum Gavoya, V'yordim Lemakom Namuch, Af Divrei Torah, Eino Miskaimen, Elo B'mishedatoi Shfeilo. So I want to tell you a beautiful story, an unbelievable story, that we find twice. Yerushalmi Mesechet Yevamis Samech Tes Amud Aleph, and a Medrash Rabbe Parshas Vayishlach. Fascinating tale, which stresses the connection between Kavod and Kinyan Torah. It is not only Gaiva and Anova, arrogance and humility, but more specifically, how Kavod would diminish one's greatness in Torah. So the story is told, Rabbeinu Ovar al Simonaya, Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Rabbi, the greatest town of his generation, passed a town called Simonaya. I don't know where Simonaya is. Well, probably a little town in Eretz Yisrael, because Rabbeinu HaKadosh lived in Eretz Yisrael. Today we have no town in Eretz Yisrael called Simonaya. Nevertheless, Rabbeinu Ovar al Simonaya. Omru lo b'nei Simonaya, ten lanu odom echod she'amakro isanu shoyne yimonu v'danas dineinu. Do you have a Talmud that is ish eshkolot? I don't want to use this expression, but there is an expression in American English, a jack of all trades. A Gadol B'Yisrael that could teach us Mikra. He's a lamb, and he could be the Rosh Hashiva. We want him to paskin Shilas, and he should also be the Dayan תן לנו אדם אחד שמקרו יסנו שויני ימנו דנס דיננו. Either it was a little town and they didn't have a budget to pay for a Rav, for a Rosh Hashiva, for a Dayan. So they really asked the Rebbe, perhaps you have a Talmud that is a Muslim that can do everything. Nosan lehem es Levi bar Sisi, one of the greatest Talmidim of Rabbeinu HaKadosh, and he appears many times in Shas, Bavli, and Yerushalmi. Levi. Usually Levi comes together with Rav Levi. They were two great Amiron. First generation of Amiru Eretz Yisrael. Nosan lehem es Levi bar Sisi. Also Rabbi Megedolim. So there was a reception. A new Rav comes to town, and there's a celebration, a reception. In our days, new Rav comes to town. You make a big reception and you invite many luminaries and celebrities and important people, and everybody sings the praise of the new Rav. In their days, the minhag was, we have a new Rav. So they sat him on a big stage, a big beam, and they started asking questions. Question number one was, Yavame Sharaka Kodam. Is it a kosher chalitza? Loi have biyoda. He said, I don't know, I apologize. Well, not even the greatest gadol could answer every shaila on the spot. Question number two, Gedemis ma'isha tachloitz. Loi have biyoda. Obviously, there was a chalitza in town. So, coincidentally, they asked some questions in her chalitzas. Question number two, Loi have biyoda. Amru b'nei Simonaya. Dilma lesdein bar ulpan. The Lashon of the Yerushalmi is lesdein more ulpan. So b'nei Simonaya said one to another, well, something is wrong. Obviously, he's not a lamdan. But maybe he's a magid. Maybe he's good for malava malka, for shalashudas, for a sheva brochas. So they started asking questions in Agadata. And they asked, what was the interpretation of a posuk in Daniel? Esa roshun b'ksav emes. Lo have a biyodei. He said, I don't know. It was embarrassing. And the people of Samanaya weren't rude. And they decided, it's a pity. It's embarrassing. We don't want to cause the Nuvrav additional pain. So they said, great. Everybody clapped hands. They sang, and they went home. Levi was hurt. Packs up, leaves town. In the morning, Rabbeinu HaKadosh comes to shul, and he finds a choshev guest, the Rav of Simonaya. Levi is here, and Rebbe is shocked, and he said, what are you doing here? You got a new shtela yesterday. And I'm quoting the Lashon of Chazal, somewhat amusing. Al taskireni tzorosi. Levi says, it's too painful. Let's not talk about it. But Rebbe persists, and he asks him, what happened? Share it with me. Tell me. And he tells him the story. Rebbe is taken aback, and Rebbe asks Levi, but you know all these halachas. Could you please answer to me? Yavame Sharaka Kedam. Levi says, of course I know. Question number two, Gedemis ma'isha tachloitz. Levi responds off his cuff, and he says, Chalitzos Shera. Chonetzes Bishineho. So what about the posuk in Daniel? Kan koinim gzadin, kan liachak gzadin. So Levi is taken aback, and he asks Levi, I don't get it. When I ask these same questions, you answer spontaneously. So why didn't you answer to them the way you respond to me? And then Levi says something shocking. He says, Bima gedoyla osuli, v'tofach ruchi ulai, v'nishtakho mimeni terosi. I was sitting on a big stage, and I felt great. I felt so proud, and I forgot everything. Koro olav Rebbe es a posuk hazeh, im novalto behitnasei. Im novalto, if you were shamed and embarrassed, it is because behitnasei, because you were proud. And a shemet shel gaiva invaded your heart. These were giants. These were giants. And every pagam kolshu had an immediate effect. I ask myself, I sat on many stages in many cities and towns in the world. And many times I do feel proud. And I never felt that I forgot all my Torah. Their Torah was pure. And therefore it was immediately affected by any deficiency in Midas Torahs. Our Torah is not that pure. So if you have a Stradivarius violin that is worth $1 million, and one of the strings isn't tuned properly, those that really have a sensitive ear will realize. But if you buy for your child an instrument that costs $35 in store and it's just blowing away, wouldn't make much difference. If you buy an expensive bottle of wine that costs $2,000 and you fill up your Kiddush cup and you're a centimeter short, you won't pour in some Coke just to fill up the cup. You're crazy. This cup of wine costs $200. Appreciate it. But if you buy a bottle of wine for $10 or grape juice and you're missing a centimeter, you could fill it up with a drop of Coke. It's the same. Won't make much difference. Our Torah is like the $10 bottle of grape juice. And that is why we're not aware of an immediate effect when we have a deficiency in midos. Their Torah was like the $1,000 bottle of precious, expensive wine. But anyway, what we see from this story is, yes, the connection between Kavod and Torah. So it should be no wonder. One of the Kinyan Torah is Misrachek min HaKavod. Moshe Rabbeinu was the greatest teacher in history, the greatest sage in history, the greatest Anav in history as well. Have a beautiful day.